Hello everyone and welcome. It's Shanna. I'm so glad you're here today. Now, today's card we are featuring some Hero Arts newly released products. I've got a classic stamp set here, and we've got the gal and the guy, and we've got some columns, we've got some balloons, we've got a little balloon art, and we have several sentiments. I have got the coordinating die that goes with it, and it was stuck to my other stencil, and we dropped our little guy off there. Now, I don't get the packaging for it, so this is just how it comes, and I just grabbed a yellow sheet of paper so you could see the stamp, and then this is the coordinating die that goes with it. There is also a stencil, your classic layering stencil here that you can stencil a lady and a man, and I'm bringing in Check Please stencil, and this is with another set that is just released. And I've also got the classic columns die set, and you've got some columns and some decorative urns or whatever you want to call them. I'm going to start off with this Check Please stencil. I thought this would kind of make a nice almost like a tile background for my scene. I've got those columns and I've got those statues, and I just thought it would be nice to have like a tile background to lay these down on here. So I've got my Hero Arts blending brush, and I've got some black soot, and I am using some fog cardstock from Spellbinders to blend on, and we're just going to have a fog and soot background, like a tiled background panel. And I did speed this up, and we're just going to get the soot laid down on there. Now we're back down to regular time. I'm going to get this cleaned up, and we're going to get our stencil removed, and we've just got a nice little checkerboard pattern, and I think it kind of looks like a nice little tile background, like we're in a cathedral that has tile and pillars. So I'll get my sticky mat out of here. I'm going to get it cleaned up, and we're just going to start bringing in our elements to build our card. So there's our panel, and I've got a tray full of goodies. I've got a black panel here that I'm thinking I can layer up on this, and I've got my sentiments that are already stamped and heat embossed. I've got my statues, and I've got my pillars. Now I have got I'm going to go ahead and die cut these out, but I'm going to wind up using some on some darker gray. I have those stamped out as well, and I'm going to wind up die cutting them out. I'm just going to put the dies on here, show you how all this works, and then we'll come back in and get all of our pieces, and I'll bring in some darker statues. Now you may notice a variation of light. I started part of this at one point in the day, and then I took a little break, went and played some guitar with my dad, and then came back and finished it. So the lighting is going to kind of adjust on the desktop. I'm using natural lighting and not my overhead lights, and so as we move throughout the video, you will notice some different lighting. But I'm just going to get all these dies laid down on here, and I'm using the Best Ever craft tape to hold them down. If I don't do that on the Anna Griffith, everything moves around. Even though I do have a magnetic plate in there, inevitably it will move on it. So I'm just going to get some tape on here and tape it down. And we're going to do our sentiments. Now these are the statues. Now these two things here are the where the statues would stand. It'd be like the base of the statue. And we're going to get them die cut out. And then we'll die cut out a couple of sentiments that we have available. Actually, I think I do. Yeah, just two sentiments. I wind up doing happy birthday and you're only as old as you feel. And I took and I stamped those and heat embossed them. And now we're just going to get everything die cut out. I'm going to grab those sentiments, and you've got the coordinating dies for everything. So all of your sentiments and all your bits and pieces. And I love that because I don't like to fussy cut. And I do prefer a die cut sentiment. I just think it looks better. And so we're just going to get these laid down on here, and then we'll go to the die cutting machine and we'll get it cut out. So I had paused for a break, and I went over, I'd gotten the schedule for this upcoming week for our music, and I thought, well, I'll go get the material ready for my dad. So I ran over there and pulled the songs out for him and got them all ready and everything. And then he said, well, let's just sit down here and play. And I said, well, I need to run next door and get my guitar. Now, he has multiple guitars. I could have grabbed one of his, but I like to play mine. And so I just ran and grabbed it and went back over there, and we played for a good long while. We played the 3 songs multiple times and tried to get some good practice in with it, and I think he enjoyed it, and I did too. So I'm going to get all of my die cut pieces out here, and I just threw it down there so that it would fall out. Sometimes if you just drop your dies on your glass mat, they'll just fall out, and then you don't have to mess with them. Anyway, I've got the happy birthday, and it's in 2 pieces, and then we have the You're Only As Old As You Feel that comes out in 1 piece there. And so we've got all of our die cut pieces, and we're going to get ready to just start building our card. So I'm just going to clean everything up, get everything out of the way, and we've got another kind of lighting change here. Now this is an A2 size panel, but I decided that I didn't want it to be that big. So I'm actually going to cut it down to, I think I went 3 1/4 by 4 1/2 is what I went with this panel. I wanted to have a big border around it, and I kind of wanted it to almost be the same size as my pillar. Now it is probably 1/4 of an inch larger than my pillar, but I wanted my pillar to fill up the bulk of this panel, and so that's why I chose this particular size to cut it down. I will bring in a black panel that is 1/8 of an inch larger all the way around, and we'll frame it out. And we're just going to have another red, black, and white card. I've been kind of on a kick lately. I don't know why. I just felt like this needed to be gray, and then I wanted the black, and then I decided to add the pop of red. So I've been on this gray, black, and white kick. Anyway, I'm going to cut this down and just give myself a little bit of a frame around my checkerboard panel there, and it'll just frame it out nice, and then we'll layer it up on our red and get it laid down on our card base. So this is what we're going to do. We're just going to pair these up nice, and then it'll lay down on here. We're not going to get it glued down just yet. I'm going to work on bringing in my card base. I scored it. This is just some hammer mill cardstock. And then I didn't use my scoreboard to fold it. Usually I do that, but I just brought it on camera. We're going to fold it up with a bone folder and then get it ready. So I've got that. That is a red cardstock from Spellbinders. I'm not sure if it was part of the Christmas collection or if it's Color Will. I'm going to look and see if I can see what color that red is. And I'm just pulling out my Color Will swatches, and I see that this is the cranberry color is what I'm using on here. So we've got the cranberry from the Color Will set. Now here we've got the gray ones, and they're kind of flimsy, so I'm going to go off camera and I'll die cut out some another layer in black, and we'll layer them up so that they're a little bit stronger. I had some inexpensive gray cardstock that I'm using. I've got fog for the base, so it's good and solid, but this darker gray is just something that was in my stash, and I've been kind of trying to work through some of that. I rarely use inferior cardstock, but I have some, and so I've been just kind of pulling out a little bit here and there and using it up, and that's what this gray is. So it's very, very flimsy, and we've got this intricate die cut piece here that I used with this flimsy cardstock. So I'm just trying to get some glue carefully laid down on here and then got it lined up. I had a phone call come in from my husband. He was checking in on me, and so that's where I kind of cut out where I was gluing it down. I had to answer the phone, and so I got that piece glued down on there. Then we came back in. So he was checking in. We need to care for one of our grandsons tomorrow, and he was checking in to make sure we would be able to do that. So I'm going to get this panel laid down on here, and we're just going to have the slightest little black frame around it. I think it kind of finishes it off, and I think it does kind of give the tile look, and I think it complements what we've got going on with these pillars and these statues. I think it works out all right. So I'm just going to get my pillar laid down on here, and we'll get some glue laid down on it. Now in the set, I didn't really point them out when I was showing the materials. For each of the pillars there is a back piece and then a detail piece. And so it looks like there's two pillars, but they actually layer together. The same for the short pillar that is included in the set. And I think it'd be fun to use it to actually stand the gal on and have her standing on kind of a shorter pillar and not just this like circular round that she's standing on. And then there is also a decorative pot or urn, whatever you want to call it. And it is two-piece, and where you have the backer piece and then the decorative piece. I didn't have room on my card base for that, so I didn't use it, but I've got it in my tray along with those other two people that I have stamped and die cut out, so I have elements to make another card with. So you can see I've got the black, and this is some heavy black cardstock that I had in my little scrap bin, and I'm just layering these up just to give them a little bit of stability and sturdy them up a little bit. And so we're just going to get those pressed together, and then we're going to start getting them laid down on our card. I'm going to bring in those pedestals. I'm going to call them that. They're just circular, like they'd be like cement circles or whatever. And I'm going to get them laid down on there, and then we'll position our two people on that. And I think that's how we're going to make it fit. So we'll get some glue on our pedestals, get them laid down there, and then we'll get our man and our woman added on there. So I have got some hamburger cooking. I am getting ready to make a homemade pizza for dinner. My husband loves my homemade pizza. I chock it full of good stuff. I like to put on it, I'll do the ground beef, which is what I'm cooking right now, slowly cooking. And then we'll bring in pepperonis and onions and green peppers and green olives and sauce and cheese. And we'll just have, and I mean, I load it up because I put a lot of ground beef on there and lots of pepperoni. And it is just really, really yummy. So that's what we're going to have for dinner tonight. When he called to check on our grandson, I said, hey, I'm going to make my homemade pizza for dinner. And he was excited about it. He's like, oh, that sounds good. So we've been kind of eating high on the hog lately because we had Easter and had all of that good food. And then we had those leftovers, the ham and the macaroni and cheese and sweet potato casserole and scalloped corn and all that. And then we had that for lunch. And then we're going to have some pizza for dinner. So, but we've been very, very active, so that's good. Of course, he is out mowing. He has a mowing business and does a lot of mowing. And I've been working in the yard quite a bit. So I started out my day doing that, and then I decided I better come in and get some crafting done. So I'm putting a little extra glue on his foot because it just didn't want to stay, and I'm going to give it a press. I put some foam squares on the top backs of both of them, just because I knew I was going to lay them on this pedestal. And so there's going to be a little bit of unevenness, but it's going to kind of give them a lift on their upper body and just a little bit of dimension. And I think it's coming together. So I've got my cranberry cardstock, and I'm just going to get it laid down on my card base. We'll get some glue on here, get it laid down, and then we can start adding all of the elements to our card. Got plenty of glue on there. So you saw I lifted my card. I always check my card base to make sure that I've got it in the right direction so that when I go to start laying all of my things on it, I don't put them on upside down. Now, I have been known to do that. I've done that probably, I would say less than a handful of times, but it's always frustrating when you do it. Generally, what I'll do is I'll just hack off the back of it, and then I'll just glue it back down on another card base, and no one will ever know. So there's always a quick fix to your crafty challenges. The other day I had messed up a sentiment in which I stamped right on my card, and it messed up the whole focal point, and so I just die cut the piece that I stamped out on again, layered it over the top, and then started over, and nobody knew. That's just how you do. So I've got my happy birthday here, and I'm trying to decide, can I get happy birthday and you're as only old as you feel on the front of this? But I ultimately decide I'm not going to get it all on here. It's a lot, and I have been trying to put stuff on the inside of my card, so I'm going to just put my happy birthday on the outside here once I figure out where I'm going to land, and then we will put our as old as you feel on the inside of our card. And I think I got my birthday laid on here a little bit crooked, and I'm going to have to straighten it up. I'll do that afterward because I didn't realize until I started doing the voiceover, so I will get it straightened up. The birthday is a little bit high on the B side is what I did. So I'm going to give this some glue and we'll get it laid down on here. I think I laid it down all right, and then I think it moved. It has been, it doesn't look bad there, but I think it did move. That's where it's moving. And so we're just going to take our sentiment and get it on the inside of the card. And then I have the pot or the urn, and it could be fun to put that on the inside of the card just to have some extra interest. But right now we're just going to get the sentiment laid down on it. And this is pretty much going to finish off our card. And we've got our 2 statues and our pillar, our happy birthday. It doesn't look crooked there. Must have moved on me. Anyway, so I hope you liked it. I've taken some pictures. If you do like it, if you would consider hitting that like button, I would greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.